All right, everyone's back to camp. Some of them reported early, the end of last week. Some of them, the other half, as they said today in the press conference. So Ryan Poles, Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, Grady, Jarrett all spoke today. I'm really just going to focus on the big news. There's so much to go over, and there's so many things we can make from this. But half of them showed up early the last couple days, and then half of them show up today, and that's all good and dandy. There's some things to report from that. I did want to highlight in the background there, though, the Netflix series Thunderbirds. So Ben Johnson brought that up, and I like the analogy he used because I can tell he's really trying to focus on the team cohesion and don't stress. I know we feel that with the whole Matt Eberflus thing. It's all he was focused on was sunshine and rainbows and daisies and making sure this team was cohesive when they weren't. It's different this year. You hear them talking, the players talking about the expectations Ben Johnson's putting on them. And I like the analogy Ben Johnson used with the Thunderbirds. So with those airplanes, the military show airplanes, they have to be in cohesion and sync, but it doesn't happen day one, and they have to watch their leader. So he's excited to see, in Ben Johnson's words, who will separate themselves and become the leader, because every position in this team is basically up for grabs. Now, is that true? No, Joe Tooney's probably going to be the starter. Caleb Williams is going to be the starter. Darnell Wright, he as much as said, is going to be the right tackle. There's not a battle there. So there's places that are set, but it's a good atmosphere to be able to develop and say, hey, we're going to have this team. We've got to come together like a sharp flying formation of the Thunderbirds. So I put that as the background here. I actually liked his press conference. It didn't feel like fluff and sugar like Matt Eberflus. It felt like, hey, I'm a new head coach. I'm going to rely on my coordinators. I'm going to show a lot to them. It's my first time actually being the decision maker, so I'm going to rely on them a lot. But there's going to be a lot of people that we're going to focus this around a well-run, well-organized, disciplined organization. So I liked the concept of that. So let me jump back. We'll get into, actually, let's do the schedule real quick. Pull me off here, and then we'll bring up what Ryan Poles said, because he had the meat and potatoes of the roster moves, and that's really all I want to show on this video today. But you got the upcoming dates. You got preseason rookie camp. People showed up today. The entire team reports. Hall of Fame game next week. We're going to have pads within the next week. We do actually have 2 series where we are co-practicing, so I'll add those into here soon. I believe it's the Bills and the Chiefs. I could be wrong on that. 53-man cutdown on the 27th, but there are some roster changes today. So let me jump to those with Ryan Poles. Really going to focus on his press conference. It was 3 minutes long, but it's really the meat and potatoes. So the first 2 things I garnered from that were the healthy updates. I think one of the biggest things I was looking forward to see is if Colston Loveland and Braxton Jones were healthy and ready to go. And he talked specifically about how they will probably need a ramp-up period as they adjust, but they are cleared to practice, and they're both good to go. So they're cleared. Braxton has been in there working nonstop. Colston, he mentioned Colston has been one of the, it was either him or Ben Johnson, mentioned Colston Loveland has been one of the most diligent people in Halas Hall this entire offseason, that they are taking this very serious. So you love to see that. There's going to be a ramp-up period. How long that is, a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever. Everyone's back. Braxton Jones is healthy. Colston Loveland's healthy. And he said specifically right there in the middle of the screen, we're excited to get those guys back. I'm sure there's going to be a ramp-up period, but they're going to go and knock that rust off. So I like it. I'm excited for it. I think Braxton has the starting job. Everything they've alluded to, reporters were asking those specific questions. And yeah, there's going to be a battle competition. There needs to be that. Karan, he specifically mentioned Karan Amagaji, and this is Ben Johnson mentioning Karan Amagaji with Braxton Jones. Ozzy Trapillo as well. So they're all going to need reps, but it's Braxton's job at this point with how well he was doing at the end of the year. For those who don't remember, Braxton, those last 3 games, was the highest in most categories, second highest overall rated tackle those last 3.5 games before he was injured. The last 150 snaps he took, he was one of the highest. He was peaking at the right time, not allowing any pressure, holding his ground. He was doing, that's what you want out of as a lineman. They take time to develop. So Braxton was there. Am I saying he's a Pro Bowler? Am I saying we're going to sign him long-term? I'm actually going to do a salary cap video here really soon. No, there's still a lot to go. So, and then he announced the roster moves. So here's the big changes. And I don't honestly think either of these are anything to be excited about. You listen to Colts fans last year about Trey Flowers, and they absolutely hated him. He can't cover. But this is 2 guys we're bringing in, and as they reported it, that we're always looking to improve. We're always looking to bring guys in. We're always looking for guys that will help shape and mold this team. They're seeing something in these 2 guys. To know Capasnon. I don't know how to say his name properly, so there's going to be a grace period here. And I honestly don't think we're going to need to care because I don't think he makes it off the 90-man roster. He was with Dennis Allen in New Orleans, and he's more of that Walker type of role from last year, that edge that can play interior, and he does play a lot of interior. So DeMarcus Walker kind of could kick out to the edge, he could be on the interior. So that's really how to know Capasnon, however you want to say his name. So he brings a veteran presence, versatility on the defensive front. So there is some advantage there. We'll see how he does in camp. I don't see him making the 90-man roster. And Trey Flowers adds experience and depth in the secondary. Both these guys are right in their 30s. Ja'Day Walker and Ian Wheeler are activated off the NFI list, though. So I love that. I want to see Ian Wheeler compete. Last preseason, he had the 2-touchdown game. Showed a lot of sparks, 8 yards per carry in that game. A lot of sparks of being that guy we thought he could be with the explosiveness, with the vision, with his cut. So I don't think he's going to be competing for snaps at running back, but if he can have an impact as our running back 4, I'm all in favor of that. So let's jump right here to the 2 guys that we added. Get me off screen. Here's Tano. And you can see here, this doesn't mean everything. I get that. This last season, he only played a handful of games, not even a handful of games. Not a lot to go from it. Missed tackles, not great. But you can see here the B gap, over tackle, and outside. So here's more of your defensive interior. Here's more of your edge. They've got him listed as an outside linebacker. There's nothing here I'm way too excited about. I have to look at more tape on him. I'm going to admit that, but I don't see a player that has great explosion or discipline against the run. But Dennis Allen likes him, 6'7", 289 pounds, so he's a big guy. He's got some experience. We'll see how he does in camp, and let's see if he makes the roster first off. Then there's Trey Flowers, and so last year with Jacksonville. I'm sorry, I said Indianapolis. I meant Jacksonville. So Trey Flowers really coming in just until JJ gets healthy. I think that's the other thing. So I didn't mention that enough. JJ is out for at least a couple weeks, is what they said. Soft tissue injury. They did not go in detail about the leg injury that they had. They said it's an off-season injury while he was training. So no, this isn't related to contract holdout or trying to hurry and get back in the office and renegotiate. It's not what the things we're all panicked about. I was concerned after seeing JJ's comments too. I admit this isn't what this is. JJ is injured, so they're bringing Trey Flowers in. How long he'll last? Probably just until JJ comes back because we had to make room for these guys. But here is your roster moves. Here's the moves that make it all happen. So you've got Trey Flowers coming in. He's been signed. Tano Capasnon has been signed. And then in return, we also activated Ja'Day Walker, Ian Wheeler from the non-football injury list. They both got activated. And then Jeremy Robinson, who was an undrafted free agent from Kansas, has been cut. And then Alex Cook, who has played with the Panthers several teams actually over the couple years. I think at the Giants too, off memory. Alex Cook, who I thought had some good potential, he was waived as well. So these 2 were waived. Jeremy Robinson, Alex Cook, and Trey Flowers and Tano Capasnon have been signed. So those are your roster moves. But that's what we got going on as camp starts. That's really the start of where we fall. There's more things we can go over. I'm going to do a salary cap video and show. There's still possibilities. Here's the thing, and I'm going to spoil it. Everyone's talking about Micah Parsons, Trey Hendrickson, and how they're not reporting to camp. Next year's salary cap is the issue. It's not this year's. We have enough room to sign a vet minimum. What you're going to see is kind of a Yannick Ngakoue type of situation. If we sign a defensive end, if we get through camp and we don't love what's going on and you want to sign a Matthew Judon or Carl Lawson or someone of that nature as just some support backup help to a league minimum, a vet minimum, even a 2 or 3 million, that's possible. But trading for someone and signing a huge long-term contract when you got Darnell Wright coming up, and next year we're already at $300 million, and the salary cap's going to be right around there. We still have to draft players, and we still need to sign 4 new safeties. If anything, you're going to see a Band-Aid for this year. That's what you're going to see as far as a signing goes. It won't be this long-term trade, getting a stud guy. You're going to have to develop our draft picks from here. So you might see a Matthew Judon, might see a Carl Lawson, but you're not going to see a big contract. You're going to see a league minimum to $2, $3, $4 million contract, something that won't break the bank, because this year it's possible. Next year you're putting yourself in trouble when you got guys to sign moving forward. So it's all flexible. I get that. I get the salary cap's flexible. But there's your quick update from my perspective. I'm sure there's 10 other ones out there, but I do appreciate you guys tuning in. So if you don't mind hitting the like button, if you don't mind bearing down, if you don't mind subscribing, if you haven't done that, leave a comment too. Let me know what you guys are excited for as camp begins. I'm super stoked just to see how the team comes together. Oh, the other thing, Ben Johnson and Caleb also talked about expectations. I mean, when they talk about putting points up, I kind of took that as like that 30-point benchmark. You know, are we going to reach 30 points a game? But they also talked about 70% completion. So that's something we'll track. And that's not an easy thing. I'll do another video on this, but 70% is not that's a decent benchmark. So as they're in training camp and as they get into the season, 70% completion, you're going to have to see a lot of checkdowns for that. You're going to have to see a lot of DJ Moore, a lot of Luther Burden, a lot of just, screens out there, a lot of checkdowns. But I think Ben Johnson is way more equipped than Shane Waldron or Matty Reflus to design and develop that properly to have this team succeed. So I'm excited for it. With that, appreciate you guys tuning in. Until next time, the Bears and bear down.